I did my internship at Alpine Learning Group, which is a school for children with autism. So first, I'm just going to write off the mission statement. So it is to provide learners with autism and their families comprehensive, scientifically validated educational and behavioral services that are designed to foster individual growth and personal achievement. And underneath that is a picture of the school. So just some general information. Alpine is in Bergen County in Paramus. It's about 5 minutes from Ridgewood. Yeah, the school was founded in 1989, actually in the basement of a house. There was about 5 or 6 families who all had a child with autism. They kind of came together and started the school. The program is internationally recognized for their success in treating students with autism by using ABA. And the students in the education program, which is the program that I was interning for, they attend school for 6 hours a day. And the school year is 12 months, and they have a short break, which is about 2 weeks in the summer, but they do attend school from September to August. For the curriculum, everything that they do at Alpine is very much ABA. There's a huge emphasis on learner independence and helping the kids kind of grow in themselves and develop their own abilities instead of always requiring help from someone. So even in my classroom, when I work with preschoolers, if we were helping them hang up their jacket or helping them trace a line on a piece of paper, we would put our hand over top of their head so they're still physically doing the movement with their own hand. They also are taught typical school subjects like English, math, and reading, in addition to daily living, social, and emotional regulatory skills. Overall, the program is highly structured and organized. Everyone can actually sort of like know where they're going, what they're going to do, and it's also highly individualized. So for every learner, there's a different schedule that they get, and it's really focused on analyzing what the learner specifically needs to work on and what kind of activities he or she needs to engage in order to achieve his or her goals. There's also a huge emphasis on collecting data. So when the teachers are running various discrete trials throughout the day, they all carry an iPad and they will record the data for those trials and then analyze that, which I will talk about also in my next slide. So this is just a screenshot of the app that they use at the school, which is called Catalyst. It's specifically designed for ABA purposes. And as you can see on the left, there's a lot of different categories. So a teacher can go into like the trial sheet category, and then they'll find all the different programs that are working on the child. So, for example, on this screenshot, the child is working on answering the question, what does a cat say? So that's an SD, and then the target, which is what you would want the child to respond, is meow. And then with the program, the teacher can choose whether they want the prompt for the child to be a gesture or partially vocalizing the prompt so the child can then imitate and respond with the correct answer, or the child they can enter that the child shouldn't require a prompt so the child can do it independently. And then it's not shown on this screen, but a different screen would show a correct and incorrect button, and then the teacher would run the trial about 10 or 15 times, and they would mark whether the child got it incorrect or correct. And at the end, they will analyze the data by putting it, uploading it to the computer, and using the Catalyst app on a physical computer and analyzing the different graphs and kind of seeing where the child needs to still improve and what changes they can make. So, as I said, I work in the educational program at Alpine, which is the main program. And within that program, there's a few different smaller programs. So they have the peer modeling program, which tends to happen only in the preschool, where typical children who are between the ages of 3 and 5 come into the classroom and they have a highly structured playtime with one of the students from Alpine. So this can be really effective because modeling is one of the most effective ways to learn. There's an employment and transition program, which isn't something that happens all the time, but if a student at Alpine is ready to move into a more traditional school environment, they will take, they'll have a few trial periods where they go to whatever district they belong to. They'll go to a few classes there, go for like half the school day, and teachers at Alpine will go with them, and then after that they'll kind of assess if they think it'll be a good fit for the student, and if it is, it's also a good way to get the student ready to make that transition. They also have an internship program, which is for the older children, so that would be the 18 to 21-year-old classroom. And with this program, the students attend school at Alpine for about half the day, and then for the other half of the day, they receive on-job support, either at a place like Dunkin' Donuts or a supermarket, and their teachers will actually go to the job with them and kind of help them learn about the different social skills and the different responsibilities of the job. And then in addition, there's the family program, which is part of the education program. And this is probably one of the things that makes Alpine stand out the most because there's a huge collaboration between families and teachers in the classroom. So for the first year at Alpine, students will have teachers go into their homes and work with them on different life skills and daily living skills in their actual homes, and then they'll collaborate with the families on what is and what isn't working. And then as the student gets older, the meetings at the homes will become less frequent, but they still stay in constant communication with the parents of the children. There's also an outreach program, which isn't part of the educational program, but it's for kids who have been diagnosed with autism who aren't in the school system yet, so that would be like kids 18 to 3 years old, 18 months to 3 years old. So outreach will go into their homes and kind of get them started on like early intervention with ABA. There's also after-school social skills groups, which are held between like 3 and 6 p.m., which involves a small group of students coming together, working on different social scenarios and talking about how to interact with others and practicing that. And then there's also the adult program, which is completely separate from Alpine, in a different building, and they offers on-job support and helping individuals with autism who have aged out of the educational system. So they're over 21, they'll kind of help them find a job and then offer them support on the job. So in terms of staff, the salary range, at least for the paraprofessionals, teachers, and supervisors who are working with the kids directly, the salary range would be between $30,000 and $65,000 a year. Obviously, this depends on one's experience, their educational level, and which specific role they have. So at the para level, you may be making about $30,000 a year. But on a supervisory level, where you're supervising the teachers, the labs, or other paraprofessionals, and developing behavior plans for the kids, you will be making more towards the $65,000. So just some different jobs that are available at Alpine. There is typically 1 to 3 teachers in a program who have been certified by the New Jersey Board of Education. In Durham, Iowa specifically, there's only 1 of these. And then there's 1 to 2 lead paraprofessionals who just have a bachelor's degree, maybe in psych or sociology or a related degree. And then there's also 1 to 2 just regular paraprofessionals who are more of a support. They do teach like ABA and do the DTTs with the children, but they aren't necessarily in charge of a certain student's behavior plan, which the lead paraprofessionals and the certified teachers are. In addition to those staff, there's supervisory staff, so there's the curriculum supervisors, typically 2 per classroom, who oversee the progress of all the students and kind of help the teachers collaborate with them on developing different programs or different ways to help a student better. There's the director of the school nurse, secretary in the main office, and there's one janitor at the school. So as I said, I worked in the education program. And just a little bit more about that program. There's 34 learners in total, so throughout the day, 34 children attend Alpine. When I spoke with my supervisor, she told me that this was an intentionally small program because to have the education program as individualized and structured as it is, you kind of have to keep it small because it'd be hard to cater that to a larger group of students to give them like the attention that they need. Typically, there's a one-to-one student-teacher ratio. In my classroom, for instance, we had 5 students, and we also had 5 teachers. However, in the older classroom, sometimes it's more of a four teachers to 5 students ratio. There's 7 classrooms in total, and there are 4 to 5 students in every classroom. And the classrooms are grouped by age and non-developmental level, which I thought was pretty interesting. So even if there is a child who is functioning when they're 15, if they're functioning at a preschool or like second grade level, they're still going to be in what you might consider like in ninth grade classrooms. That'd be like one of the older classrooms. And that's kind of again with the idea of peer modeling, seeing how working with like higher functioning individuals can kind of help them along that. So throughout the day, the students and teachers rotate. So there's 30-minute periods, which means there's 12 different periods throughout the day. And every 30 minutes, a teacher will work with a different student. So that kind of helps the students be able to respond and work with different individuals. So just some general information about the learners at Alpine. All of them have a diagnosis with autism spectrum disorder, but some of them do have co-occurring disorders such as anxiety and depression, which often happens with autism. All of them are between the ages of 3 to 21 because with developmental disabilities, you are able to stay in the New Jersey education system until you're 21. They're all at various levels of functioning, so some of them are verbal, some of them are nonverbal, some of them display more developed motor skills than others do. Just depends on the student. But the commonality they all have is either that they kind of had difficulty succeeding, or it's they wanted to have a lot of difficulty succeeding in a traditional school environment. Most of them are from or around Grady County, but some are a bit further. For example, in my classroom, there was one student who was about 45 minutes away. Most of the students are Caucasian, but there are other races and ethnicities represented in the school. The ratio of male and females in the school is about 2 to 1, which isn't really surprising because there are more males who are diagnosed with autism than there are girls. And the kids generally get to the school either by their parents driving them, or they might come in a van with a driver who has experience driving special needs students, and a few of them come in a school bus. In regards to admission and cost, so Alpine is a public school and it is approved by the New Jersey Department of Education. Meaning that it's not for profit, and the tuition is for each child is funded by that child's home school district. So if the child lived in Rockland, even though they're coming to school at Alpine, their home school district in Rockland would pay for them to come to Alpine. interesting thing is that they're kind of waiting list at Alpine. So it's that they have a database of referrals. So if a student is referred by either his or her parents or his or her teachers or a child study team, um, that will be saved in the database, and then students are selected based on the needs of the students who are already at Alpine. So, for example, in my classroom, when I first started, we had 4 students, and 3 of them were boys who were pretty much nonverbal, and one of them was a girl who was semi-verbal, and she was definitely ahead in like her spelling or reading abilities. So they matched a student who was another girl, so that another student came in about halfway through my time at Alpine, and they had matched her to the girl who was already in my classroom, so she was a little bit more verbal than the boys were, and she was also a girl, which was good because she represented that gender in the room. And then also they will, when considering referrals, if a student is at Alpine and then his or her parents have another child and that child is also diagnosed with autism, they'll generally allow that child, the sibling, to also be involved in the school. And for the most part, a student, once they come to Alpine, will stay there until they graduate. So they do have the transition inclusion program, but for the most part, the students are here because they won't succeed in the traditional environment. So it's kind of assumed, unless they kind of see other signs, that they're going to stay there until they graduate. Moving on to my T's presentation, I'm going to be talking about learner T, who is a 5-year-old in the preschool classroom that I worked in. For a 5-year-old, he's pretty much average height. He's well thin, he has brown curly hair, but if you saw him, you would pretty much think he was 5 years old. He is biracial, so his mom is Caucasian and his dad is Hispanic, and he has attended Alpine for 2 years, so he's been there since he was 3 years old. So he has been diagnosed with autism, obviously, and he potentially might have sensory processing disorder, but that information wasn't able to be disclosed to me, and also I think that with autism, there's a lot of sensory needs in general, so perhaps he just hasn't been diagnosed with that yet because they're kind of waiting to see how that gets as he gets older. He seems to be at a mid-level of functioning. He is nonverbal, but he can produce long-minute sounds. So if you say the word water, you can kind of imitate at least the first part. So you might be like, "Wah," when you say water, and he'll kind of repeat it back to you. But he does use a communication device, which looks a lot like an iPad, and it has different images, which when I press them, it'll be an automated recording of a voice that either he can use to request like a snack or to lay down or use the bathroom. And he is also highly sensory seeking. So some of his strengths are his gross motor skills. So he can walk, he can run, he can ride a bike. His receptive listening skills, meaning that if you give him directions or request something of him, he'll be able to understand and follow through with that. He builds strong emotional bonds with his teachers and caregivers, so it's pretty obvious when he's working with a certain teacher that he has a strong emotional bond with because he's really receptive to them. And also, I saw his parents come in a few times and he seems to have a really great relationship with them. At my time at Alpine, I saw his ability to emotionally regulate himself improve a lot, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And he's also able to request by gesture, either gesturing towards an object that he wants, or using his communication device, which is something he's still working on. And another strength is that he can can eat and he can walk in the hallway, both pretty independently. Some of his challenges are his fine motor skills. So at 5 years old, you would expect him to be able to cut a piece of paper or trace something or maybe write a letter or draw, but he can't really do any of those things. Another challenge is interacting with his peers. So when we're in the room, he won't really pay attention to the other children in the room. He won't observe them or really interact with them, even when they're standing right next to him. He is developmentally behind in speech, reading, and his spelling abilities. And he also frequently engages in self-injurious behavior, and he has tantrums a lot, which I'm going to touch on a bit later. And he also has a hard time transitioning between activities, so he's going from working with one teacher to working with another teacher, or we're going from lunch back to school-based activities, he can get kind of upset. He also has a hard time when he has to wait, either for something that he wants, like a tour, or he wants to play, and then he's told that he can't because he has to work first. He can get pretty upset. And then also his attention span is something that he struggles with. It's hard for him to attend to things for a long period of time. So basically, if you get a 10 for a minute or two, it's pretty good for him. So this is just a visual example of some of the motor skills that he are his strengths that I just mentioned. And I think it's also a great example of how independent this outline is, because they have a chart like this on every student's desk. So when the teacher is working with the student, they can see visually like what the student knows and the information that he can respond to. So as I said, he has pretty great motor skills. So he can clap his hands, he can tap a table if you ask him to, touch his head. When you ask him to put his arms up, he can do that. He can give you a high five, and you can throw something in the garbage if you need him to. So some of the projects he is currently working on, probably the most significant one is the program for his SMEs. So he tends to engage in biting and head banging or hitting his head. So he might like bite his hand or bang his head either against a table, or he might use like his fist to hit his head. This tends to happen, as I was kind of mentioning before, when he's either being denied something that he wants. So if he wants to play with a certain toy, but he's told that it's time to work now, he might start engaging in SIVs then. It also seems to happen when he's frustrated, so when he's maybe trying to tell you something but can't really communicate it to you because you can't verbalize it. That seems pretty difficult for him, and he can get upset. And also when he has to wait for something. It does seem to be sensory related, so when he has a simulation of either hitting his head or biting his hand, it seems to kind of calm it down a little bit. And he is occasionally aggressive towards others, but it doesn't really seem like it's intentional. It's usually when he's already upset and already engaging in self-injurious behaviors. So if you kind of get in his way during that, that's when it seems to happen, that he will bite or hit somebody else. So the program for this is, which was actually just started when I was beginning my internship, is the first time he engages in an SIV. So if he hits his head once, or if he starts to bite his hand, a teacher will spray cold water on his cheek and tell him no, hands down. And then if he continues to engage in self-injurious behaviors, the teacher will put on his helmet and his arm splints, and then they'll put a matching book, which is no picture procedure. And they'll put that in front of him, and it's basically just a few pictures that are on a page, and then there's also separate pieces, which are the same image, but they have like Velcro on the back of them, and he's supposed to put match like the image to whatever's on the paper. And were first engaging in SIVs, they put this in front of him, and then from that point on, the teachers are supposed to ignore him. And even if he keeps like trying to engage in SIVs, they just continuously tell him to work on his smashing book, and they try not to make eye contact with him because they're trying to teach him skills of emotional regulation, so being able to calm himself down. The other part of this program is that because it seems to be sensory related, Jane is able to request for squeezes, which like you put a massage his arms or his head. So you can request it at any time with this communication device, or you can request to lie down on a bean bag, which you can see in the right-hand picture on the set. If he's feeling frustrated, and notices that he can ask for those things at any time. And then also when we're working with him, we run a timer that goes off every 2 minutes, and for those 2 minutes, if he hasn't engaged in any self-awareness behavior, he gets squeezes automatically. So that's some of the other programs I'm working on currently with G, or that I did work on during my internship. We're waiting for tangible items, so he would come in with his breakfast every morning, and it would be in a Tupperware container, and he would put it in the microwave and put it on for 20 seconds, and then throughout the 20 seconds that it was in the microwave, he would be required to keep his hands down and kind of stay calm during that because he does have a harder time waiting for things, and then we would record that on the iPad whether he was able to do that or not. C6 vocalization, so he does tend to make some vocalizations which aren't really words, but he just kind of makes noises with his mouth, which can be stigmatizing, so it's important for them to kind of tackle his while he is at the age he is, because when he gets older, it may be a little bit more stigmatizing for him. So the program involves him working on a puzzle, and he's supposed to put 2 pieces of the puzzle in place while remaining quiet and not vocalizing at all. And then if he's able to do that, he receives verbal praise, and he's also allowed to play. We put a towel down, and he can play with whatever toy we put down on the ground for him, and he's allowed to vocalize while he's on the towel. And then another program I've been working on with him is following 1-step instructions. So that would be like I showed before, high five, or saying throw this out for me, or tap the table. He should be able to respond to those different requests. Finally, another program that I've worked on with him a little bit is cooperating with the dental exam. So one of the cool things about Alpha is that they are pretty involved in the community, so they'll go out to like dentists and doctors and have them trained on working with kids with autism. And then in the classroom, he's been working on going to the dentist. So there's that natural box on the shelf that contains dental equipment, like a toothbrush and like floss pick. And then when working with him, you're supposed to pretend to be the actual dentist. So he has a thread put around his neck, and who's ever working with him will pretend they're the dentist and kind of have him try to keep his hands down and stay still during his time with the dentist. And once he learns this in the classroom and he seems to master it, they'll bring him out to the actual dentist, and they'll try it there to see if he can generalize what he's learned in the classroom to a real life situation. So that's some of the other treatments that he is undergoing currently. He receives ABA at home. His parents are pretty skilled in ABA, so they try to do those free trials with him at home as well. And he also sees a therapist in addition to going to ABA school. He does attend an after-school special needs program because both of his parents work, but it's not ABA based, but he is with people who are skilled in working with the special needs population. In addition, he's on a gluten-free and all-vegetable diet, which is thought by some to kind of help with the different behaviors that can be seen with autism. And he is also seeing currently an occupational therapist for his like sensory interventions.